We are back here on the Now South Florida. That man suspected of shooting 9 people inside the Charleston, South Carolina church is now in police custody right now. Authorities in Shelby, North Carolina arrested 21-year-old Dylan Roth of Lexington, South Carolina. That's where he was from, after he was spotted this morning. This is the mugshot of him from a previous arrest, actually. Charleston police say the victims who were killed, they were killed because they were black. The Department of Justice now opening a hate crime investigation into that shooting. This is just such a shocking story. These people had invited this young man into their Bible study. It is just, sending shockwaves, I think, through the entire country. The suspect caught pretty quickly, though, today. And joining me right now is former FBI agent Stuart Kaplan. We appreciate you being here. This was a quick arrest. Why? I mean, what lended itself to being so quick?
Several components. First of all, we had a surviving eyewitness.
Right.
That was very, very critical at the time the police responded to the scene of the crime. Number 2 is we had video surveillance that captured the subject actually coming into the church. Number 3 is we had a description of his car, we had his license plate, and most importantly is where he tripped himself up is he utilized his ATM card, which basically gave the police and local and state and federal law enforcement a better indication or location as to where to start to look for this individual.
And you hear sophisticated criminals tend to go off the grid, if you will, so that is very uncanny for something like that to occur, right? That's pretty lucky in terms of police work.
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that this is a person who's 21 years of age.
Right.
I don't necessarily give him that much credit for being sophisticated. Obviously, with the magnitude of crime, the magnitude of what happened here, and given what the resources were with respect to the FBI coming in, I think it was a sure bet that they were going to apprehend him as quickly as possible.
So now that justice is looking at this as a hate crime, what kind of questioning, take us behind the scenes, what kind of questioning is he going through right now?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I can tell you I'm not so sure whether or not he is availing himself to interrogation. As everybody knows, every defendant or everybody who's charged with a crime has a right to exercise their Fifth Amendment right not to answer questions.
Right.
He would have to waive that Fifth Amendment right. He probably has an attorney. The attorney, in consultation with him, could decide to cooperate or not cooperate. I don't know whether or not, obviously, being from the defense perspective, it would not serve him well to cooperate and keep his mouth shut. On the other side, he would tend to give a lot of incriminating information that would be useful for the investigation.
What would you be asking, though? What kinds of questions? I mean, because we know so much, because, as you mentioned, there was an eyewitness. He actually looked at one woman and said, I want you to live to tell what happened here, which is, like you said, so uncanny. This rarely happens in shootings like this, where you actually have a survivor who can tell that kind of detailed story and paint that picture for you. So what kinds of questions? What are they trying to glean now?
From my previous experience being with the FBI, given the fact that this is a civil rights criminal investigation, the statute requires a specific intent. So the FBI agents that are interviewing him want to pin him down to say, did you target these individuals because of their race? If he acknowledges the fact that I shot these people and wanted to do what I did to them because of their race, that's the type of information they're trying to elicit. Whether or not it comes from himself or from other witnesses or his associates or friends or family, I do believe that at the end, the FBI, through the Department of Justice, will be able to prosecute him under a civil rights violation, being the hate crime statute.
But it's so precarious, and you just never know. And I know police work at this stage. We, as the public, look at it and said, okay, you got this guy. This is this is terrific that he's off the street. But the police work right now is so very important in terms of setting up the case.
Not only is it it's very difficult, it's very time-consuming. There's a lot of interviewing that has to be done. There's a lot of resources. Hate crimes are very, very difficult to accomplish. One of the examples, and one of the more recent examples was the Trayvon Martin case, where people wanted, or the Department of Justice was called in to see whether or not they could, in fact, prove a hate crime, and there it was unfortunately disproved. In this particular case, given what we know to date with his friends and relatives and information that's been elicited to date, I do believe at the end of the day they will be able to bring a prosecution against this individual for committing a civil rights hate crime.
There's just so much, evidence, layer on top of layer. In this case, you're absolutely right. Former FBI agent Stuart Kaplan joining me here.